This is Icebird. Icebird reviewing not one, not two, but three movies today. I finally caught up with two of the movies that came out last weekend, Valentine's Day weekend. Deadpool, which I was very excited to see, and then Zoolander 2, which I wasn't excited to see, but I was still willing to, see it and give it a chance, because, I saw the first one, it was alright, so I thought maybe this one won't be as good, maybe it would be on par with the first one. I was unable to see either of the films because I got snowed in the weekend they released, so I was unable to go. But I finally caught up the weekend after, if that's even a way to say something like that. And not only I saw those two films, but I also saw a third movie. The movie came out just a couple days ago, the new horror film known as The Witch, or The Vitch, as it's spelled out. It's spelled like two V's. It's kind of weird, but it's The Witch, nonetheless. So I decided to talk about the movies that came out last weekend first instead, just to get them out of the way before I talk about the new movie, The Witch. So, let's start off with what I will say is the worst out of all these three films. And talk about Zoolander 2. Alright. So Zoolander 2 is about, Derek and Hansel are in retirement now because they are out of fashion. Like, the new fashion industry has moved on from them. They're considered, outdated and stuff like that. So, but after, a bunch of fashion models and celebrities are getting assassinated one by one, the latest one being Justin Bieber getting assassinated right in the opening of the film, which is actually the cool part, with the most entertaining part of the movie. They call some sort of secret government agency led by Penelope Cruz, who is very attractive in this movie, and all the time as well. Require both Derek and Hansel, Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, to help track down whoever are assassinating these celebrities, fashion models and whatnot, particularly because Justin Bieber gives a very specific look on his selfie that he takes before he dies, that only Zoolander himself knows, which is based off of some sort of perfume commercial they did, which was a really stupid commercial. You already can figure out the rest. The rest is pretty obvious. It's a spy movie. It's a movie that's trying to parody spies movies and stuff like that. Well, kind of. And it's just Zoolander and Hansel trying to stop whoever is assassinating these celebrities and whatnot. Which, if you've seen the first movie, you can already take a wild guess who that is. You already can take a wild guess who is responsible for this. It's pretty obvious right from the beginning. If you've seen the first one anyways, which, assuming you're going to see this, you probably already have seen the first one. Because whoever's going to see this movie is going to be people that enjoyed the first film. Okay, and that's understandable. It's a sequel to the first one, which was actually kind of a hit it wasn't a huge hit, but it was a sleeper hit, as we like to call it, where it was more of a hit on DVD and VHS instead of in theaters, and it has a cult following. People saying it's actually pretty funny. And it has a very clever satire on the fashion industry at that time. Which is probably the one thing I kind of liked about the first one, was its satire on the fashion industry at that time, back in 2000, 2001. So, the first movie has some clever humor to it. But it's also a lot of ridiculous, dumb humor. Kind of a lot of odd and really stupid humor in the first one, so not all of it worked. And personally, I'm not a huge fan of the first one, but because of its satire on the first one, how well they did it, I thought it was overall an alright movie. It was just alright. Not for me, but it was fine. That was the first one for me. Going into this movie, I was like, well, maybe it'll be the same as the first one. It isn't. Actually, it's actually pretty bad. In fact, I did not like this movie at all. I didn't hate it, like some people are saying. Some people, apparently there was a critic that walked out during the movie, apparently. Said it was just that horrible that he walked out during the movie. I forget who it was. It was on an article. And it's not that awful. I didn't hate it that much or anything like that. In fact, I wasn't mad at the film. Because like I said, I'm not an absolute fan of the first one. I thought the first one was just alright. So going into it, I didn't have like huge hopes for the film. I was just kind of like, well, maybe it'll be as entertaining as the first one, pretty much. So I was getting out of it. And it isn't. It's not that entertaining at all. It's just a weird movie. Like, it's like Ben Stiller on purposely made this bizarre on purpose because he had no idea where to go with the first. Like after doing a sequel to a movie that's like 15 years old or 16 years, one or the other. It's like he said he's not going to do a sequel until he has like the perfect script ready for it. And I'm sitting there going, this was it? Like, okay, some of the humor I can see on paper being good, but there are some things that's in this movie that makes me go, why don't you think that's a good idea? Because right from the beginning, like, I know this is going to sound like a spoiler, but it's right in the beginning. So you're already going to, like, see right in the opening. So in all honesty, I might as well just say it. After the Justin Bieber assassination scene, it goes through like kind of like an opening credit scroll almost. Not opening credits, but it goes through like a brief history of what happened between Zoolander 1 and this film. And it takes a dark turn. It really does. Like, yes, like Hansel and Derek are out of the fashion industry because they're considered outdated, sure. But like there was a severe accident that happened during that I forget what the building was. If you saw the movie, you probably already know what I'm talking about. But like there was like I think it was a fashion model industry, the building. Yeah, that was the house that Derek would live in and whatnot with his family, his wife, I forget her name, and his son Derek Jr. And remember that whole thing between him and the girl they fought, like he has a thing for in the first one? Guess what? She dies. Right in the opening. She's dead. She's gone. I'm like, really? They kill her off. I can't remember her name. What was it? Oh yeah, Matilda. Yeah, remember her from the first movie? She dies. She's gone. Like, it's just, like, what? Like, remember that was a whole thing in the first one? Well, guess what? She's gone. You don't have to worry about her at all in the movie. Really? Really? So, we're going to ignore everything that happened in the first movie. It's like Ted. Remember how in Ted 1, it was like this whole thing between Mark Wahlberg and Mia Kunis? I can't pronounce her name. Remember that whole thing? And they got married? Well, in Ted 2, she's gone. She's completely forgotten. Instead, he's with that Amanda Seyfried, I can't remember her name also, but it's the girl from Les Miserables. So, it's like, what? Like, that was another problem. Oh, man. And like I said, is this all over again? Like, why would you just kill off the character like that? I mean, the actress makes a cameo in the movie at one point. I'm not going to go into details about it because it makes as much sense as everything else in this movie. But, so it's the same actress, so obviously she's got to be in the movie, so why would you kill off her character? Why would you do that? And then, like, his son gets taken away from him because he's shown as, like, a dysfunctional father to his son. So the son gets taken away from him, so Derek spends, for the next several years, leaving the fashion industry and goes on his own to live on his own. So he and Hansel get separated. Hansel, like, is out of the fashion business right from the get-go because of a horrible injury that he gets on his face. I think from the building, again, I already forgot a lot of the movie. It's just one of those movies I completely have forgotten about. Quite a bit of it. All I remember is some of the weird humor in the movie. Because a lot of the humor in this movie is just bizarre. It's just odd. It's random. It's just weird. And really awkward. There's a lot of awkward humor in this movie. That's not funny. It's just awkward. Like, Well, of course, as you all know in the trailer, from the trailer, there's the weird scene with Benedict Cumberbatch, which the way the scene plays it out, it plays it as just kind of outdated. It's kind of like a joke you would see in the early 2000s, like a portrayal of a transgender. But in this movie, it feels really awkward at how they're playing the scene, and actually a little offensive to anyone who is a transgender. So, just saying. And that kind of humor would only work in something like South Park because it's a mean-spirited show. It's meant to practically offend everyone, pretty much. This movie is just... It's not supposed to be a mean-spirited film. It's not. So when you have a joke like that in the movie, it just doesn't work. And you'll also just have this really odd humor. Like I said in the trailer, they had the scene where they had rolled in onto the like one of the few times that there's like a fashion scene of any kind. 'Cause for the most part, it's a spy film, which actually, yeah. It's more of a spy movie. That's another problem. The first movie was about the fashion industry. There just happened to be like some sort of like an espionage assassination plot going on during the film. This movie is more of a spy film. Just there happens to be models and fashion, people involved, which is kind of going against what the first one was about. And I don't know if that was Ben Stiller's intentionally trying to do that, to kind of like flip it around, so it's more about spy work instead of fashion work. Like, I don't know, that's but he did, I think he did it on purpose. I think he did. It just proves it just doesn't work, though. It just doesn't. It feels out of place compared to the first one. It just doesn't work as a sequel. Especially when you make some of the weird choices, like I said, killing off the wife right in the opening. And pretty much taking Ben Stiller's character back to square one. It's Iron Man 2 all over again, where they take the character that had like supposedly learned something from the first one and just takes it all the way back to square one. You don't do that. In a sequel, you continue with the character. That's what you do. In this movie, they don't do that. They go back to square one because they think their audience is so stupid to fall for that. So, which going by the Rotten Tomatoes rating doesn't look like it. Everyone else is saying, yeah, this is not how you do it. Which, good, I agree. Because that's not how you work with sequels. You continue on. You don't start back to square one. Unless you're a Jackass movie. Like one of the Jackass movies. Because that's about people doing stupid stunts. That's all it is. Aside from that, that's not what you do with the sequels. Okay? And that's the same case here. But like I said, going back to the humor, it's just weird humor. That's the whole movie. And I know the first movie had some odd humor to it. But like I said, it had like the whole... It all worked together because there was an actual plot going on. There was an actual, like, focus on satire on the fashion industry. So you had, like, all this stuff holding it together. Just you haven't had odd humor included. Okay. This movie's all over the place. This movie will go from, like, one spot to the next that has no consistency at all. Another problem being, there's too many cameos. There's so many cameos in this movie. It's just unbelievable. You got the Justin Bieber, you got Billy Zane, you got Kiefer Sutherland at one point. Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland appears at one point. That was like, wait, what? I was not expecting to see him in this movie at all. And I think Katy Perry appears in one scene. I think. That was random. I can never pronounce this guy's name right. Neil... the astronomy guy, I can't remember. Neil Mike Tyson, that's it. Oh my gosh, yes. Neil Mike Tyson, he appears twice in the movie. Steen appears. Ariana Grande appears at one point. It's ridiculous that the amount of cameos is in this movie. There's too many. Like, every scene next scene is just cameos, and they're just random. They just don't work. They're just odd cameos. I don't know. It's just, there's too many cameos for one thing. They're so random. It's just, the movie as if, like, stops to, like, show us a cameo, make us laugh, and then just moves on. It's just a lot of random scenes that just do stuff like that. And they don't add up. They just don't. Like, the scene when, in the trailer, when they're walking on they're walking on the main floor, the main floor. They get wheeled in coffins. Their shirts that say like old and lame, and like a giant bucket of prune juice gets dumped on them. Okay, so what was the joke? I don't get it. Like prune juice just fell on them. All right, I mean, what's the joke? I'm sitting there going, what's the joke? I'm like, this doesn't work. It's just weird. It's just a lot of odd humor, and it's just focused on, like, there'll be scenes where they'll just have a scene play out. They'll say, like, a joke, and then they'll just continue to make weird facial expressions to each other, they'll make weird faces to each other. Like, there's a scene with Will Ferrell's character, and his gay assistant. Like, there's a scene when they kind of talk to each other briefly, and they just kind of give weird expressions to each other. It's just, what's the joke? I don't get it. I'm like, what's the joke? It's just weird and just unnecessary. There's a random hipster, like, DJ, like, character, a hipster guy that just, his whole joke in the movie is just him saying, like, dude, you guys look awesomely lame. Like, seriously, look at this tattoo I got. Isn't it stupid? Yeah, I love it. It's so stupid. And he'll say stuff like that. I can't remember the character's name. But he had no purpose to the film other than just to be annoying. That was his whole purpose of the movie. So I know I'm kind of going off here and there why the movie just doesn't work. But it's just, the movie itself, it just keeps going and going and going with this odd, awkward, bizarre, unfunny humor that just keeps recycling jokes from the first movie, like the orgy joke from the first movie is constantly bringing back again and again and again, and it's just not funny. It's just kind of a distraction. The whole thing with Derek trying to reunite with his son is not really that funny either. It's just kind of depressing to watch because his character is fat. It turns out Derek's son gets fat, and Derek feels so horrified that his son is overweight. Oh my. It's just, wow, nice father. And like I said, seeing just the whole thing with his wife getting killed off like that, it's just like, why would you do that? Like, sequelitis, it doesn't work. It's just unnecessary. I mean, I will admit, every now and then there was an odd joke that I did laugh at that was just so random that I couldn't help but at least laugh a little. I can't remember the times I did laugh. I guess it was the scene when Steen's cameo happens, and Hansel asks him, I just have to tell you one important question. Is it true that you can have sex for 10 hours? And he's like, there's just some things that can never be explained. 15. Like, that was random. And of course, Penelope Cruz character is like, which of course I'm saying, like, going, whoa, man, that guy's a lot of stamina. But seriously, I'm just like, that's like one of the few times I actually did kind of chuckle. It's not really because it was that funny. I was trying to find something funny, and that was actually kind of funny to me because I was just that desperate to laugh at something. I mean, every now and then there'll be like an odd joke that I did kind of like snark at or chuckle. I try, every now and then do that. But for the most part, the humor is just not funny. It's just odd humor that just doesn't work. Like I said, the movie's purpose for being like a spy movie instead of a fashion movie from the first one doesn't work. If I wanted to get that, I would watch Spy or Kingsman for that sake, because Kingsman's a great movie. This doesn't work, okay? It just doesn't. By the end of the movie, I'm just like, I hope to God there's not going to be a third one. I seriously hope not, which I don't think there will be. I would be shocked if there's going to be a third one after this. But who knows? Who knows at this point? I mean, we can toss this alongside with Dumb and Dumber 2 for a sequel that people were waiting for just to be really disappointed by after this to watch it. So, that's all I got, guys. in all honesty, the only people I'd say to watch this would be if you're a huge fan of the first movie and you're still very curious to watch it anyways. I say at least wait till it comes out on DVD and rent it if you're very, very curious still, even after hearing all the bad stuff about it. If you're an absolute fan of the first one, but you still really want to see if it's any good or not, because you still might get some entertainment out of it, because, I mean, the audience I was with laughed quite a bit. So, I mean, they got some entertainment out of it, so, okay. So, if you're an absolute fan of the first one, I say wait till it comes out on DVD and rent it if you're absolutely sure you want to check it out. Otherwise, though, don't see it in theaters. And otherwise, if you're not a fan, this is not going to change your mind at all. Like, even if you're someone as me that thought the first one was just alright, again, skip it. Just don't watch it. You're not gonna, it's not gonna change your mind. It's not gonna make you love it. It's just gonna make you hate yourself. Like I said, I didn't hate the movie that much. Like, none of them really pissed me off. It was just more just odd here where they just didn't work. Like, I've seen worse comedies. Like, I'd rather watch this than something like Unfinished Business or Hot Tub Time Machine 2. Or even, what's that one comedy called? Vacation. I'd rather watch this than the Vacation movie that came out last year. So, oh well. What can you do? So, that's all I got, guys. So, the only positive that I'll say, aside from, like, laughing once or twice, was Penelope Cruz is very attractive. She is actually pretty sexy in this movie. That's pretty much all I got to say. So with that being said, this is Icebird Reviews, and I'm going to go talk about much better movies after this. So, see you later.